This conference will now be recorded.
All right, guys. So, like I told you, the variables usually have two types. One is highlighted and the other one is not. The one highlighted is primitive data type. Okay. It's called primitive because it's the old ways of storing information. Okay. Like a number, a character, floating point, fraction numbers, things like that. Okay. So typically when you write a program is made of attributes and methods, isn't it? Okay, so you have attributes and activities, has a and does. Okay, so it is made of variables and methods. Whereas these primitive data types do not have any sub information or activity. Would a number 100 do anything or has anything?
No.
No.
No. So what we call them as is a literal values. Literal meaning it literally is just a value. It doesn't do anything. Okay, unlike other programs. Okay, teacher does something. Teacher has a name and teacher does teach. Okay, most of the programs or objects that you see, they have bunch of things like a has attribute and they do bunch of things. That's how all the programs look like. But there is one content, one portion of the program like primitive data type. They don't do anything or they don't have anything. All they are is a literal value. It literally is just a value. 100, it's just a number. 10.29, it's just a fraction number. It literally is just a value. It doesn't has anything, it doesn't contain anything. Okay. On the other hand, the objects, they do something and they have something. Okay, like address info. It has street info. It has city. It has state. It has zip. Maybe it has a method. Okay, the address info program allows you to store information, multiple information, and it allows you to manage or manipulate that information. You can store zip code and you can change the zip code through this method. Okay, so a program, the class is usually made of some attributes and some methods, whereas primitive data type doesn't has any such option. All it contains is just a value. Now here is where we go apart. Okay, they are all variables, aren't they? Attributes are variables. They are all variables, but we call this as references. Would you guess why we call this as reference?
Because we create another class for it?
Yes. This information address, isn't it referencing another class here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that variable address is referring another program altogether, isn't it? But the salary, is there a program called 100?
No.
No.
It is literally just a value, isn't it?
Yes.
Whereas this information is a reference to another object, another program. Okay, so you have to call this accordingly. You can call this as just a variable, a plain and simple variable. But these things we call it as reference variable. Okay, primitive data type who has literal values. Okay, primitive data type who has literal value, they are usually just called as variables. Okay, they are just variable. But when you come across another type of variable, which is basically a reference to another program, another object, okay, we call them as reference variable. Okay, so the highlighted data type is what we call as primitive variable, and the other one we call it as reference variable. Address info, it is actually this attribute, data type followed by the name, data type name, data type name. Okay, this name address is actually referencing another program. It is referencing this program, and hence the name reference variable. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now there are certain special characters that are allowed, and there are certain rules on how you can write the names. Okay. Now a variable holds or points value of the data. Okay, holds or points. Primitive data type holds value. It contains value. Whereas reference variable, does it has value or is it pointing to a value?
Pointing to a value.
It's pointing to value. Okay, so variables either hold values or reference or point to values. Okay, remember the difference, the slight difference there. Variable names can contain a letter, digit, dollar, underscore. Okay, so you can have a variable name made of alphabets, numbers, or a dollar symbol or a underscore symbol. Okay, variable name should start with alphabet, okay, or dollar or underscore. So let's see what I mean. Now this variable name is purely made with alphabet characters, right? You can have a variable name like this.
Sorry.
Okay, you can have a variable name that is a mixture of alphabet and numbers. The other special characters that are allowed is dollar and underscore. Okay, anything other than that, you get an error. So when you are naming an a variable, right, you are allowed to use anything with a combination of alphabets, numbers, or two special symbols, dollar and underscore. Okay, these are the only allowed characters while you name them. Okay, now the other thing is you cannot start with a number. The name can start with an alphabet or dollar or underscore. Only thing is you can have a number, but it cannot start with the number. You can have a number somewhere in the middle, somewhere in the end, but not in the beginning. Okay, these are the rules on how you can name them. Okay, so you might see some things like this, right? Add to cart. Okay, so we require a number here, add to, or yeah, you can say add to. So I'm just giving you an example. Okay, so you can use alphabets and numbers, provided it doesn't begin with the number. Okay, you can also have dollar or underscore. Okay, sometimes rather than doing the camel case, people tend to do something like this, add cart. Okay, so it is more readable, right, when you give underscore. If you don't give underscore, sometimes if you don't know how to read this with the whole camel case and all, it might not be that clear while you're going through your program. So some people choose to use underscore rather than using the camel case. Add underscore cart. Okay, now it is more readable. You give more space between each words, right? So that's why you are allowed to have dollar or underscore. Okay. Now, there are 4 different type of variables. Okay, we will go in detail when we go to the variable scope. Okay, when we go to variable scope, we will look at that. But for now, just remember the ones we are working on right now is called instance variable. Okay, all the variables that you see here, these are called instance variable or global variable. Okay, you're allowed to declare variable inside the method as well. All right, so look at this. Now you have 2 type of variables here, right? One is outside the method and another one is inside the method. Okay, one is declared outside this method and one is declared inside the method. So you're allowed to do like this. Only thing that they change their visibility. Okay, so we'll go in detail on what are these and when do we declare one inside versus outside. Okay, we'll go in detail. So there are different type of variable scope, okay, or visibility. Okay, we'll go to that in detail later. Now default values. Okay, now for global variables there are default values assigned for primitive. Okay, but for objects there is no default value. Okay, so this is what you do. Two type of variables, right? There is primitive, and what type of variable is this?
Object or non-parameter.
Object or reference
Objects.
variable.
Reference.
Okay, it is referencing to another class called string. Okay, so it's an object or reference variable. So for primitive variable, you do get default values. Okay, for an integer or for all the number data type, you get the default value 0. Okay, such as integer, short, byte, long. Okay, so you get the default value of 0. For float and double, you get 0.0. Okay, and for boolean you get false. So all the primitive data type has a default value, but for reference variable or objects you do not get default values, meaning right now the value for this variable is nothing. There is no value. Okay, in technical term we call it as null. Okay, null meaning nothing, it has no value. Whereas for primitive data type, the default value for integer, you'll get a value, even though 0, but it is still some value, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, so accessing data. Okay, let's look at how we access data. Now, zip code is part of address info class, right? What if I want to update the zip code to a new number? Okay, I can access zip code anywhere inside this class. It is local, it belongs to the same class, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
But if I say zip here, I wrote the same code, zip 12345. Okay, if you want, I can just copy paste it here. Okay. Now teacher info has address info. Okay, teacher info, inside teacher info, you will find address info. Inside address info, you will find zip code. So here I was able to write this name, but here I can't. So do you see the visibility here? Do you see anything called zip code in my teacher info program?
No.
No.
No. But do you see a zip code in address info?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's why you're able to access it. Okay. So when you're trying to access data, okay, when you're trying to access this data or attribute or variables, right? You do not have any restrictions if you're trying to change it in the same program. Okay, it's as if like if you want to walk, okay, the legs belong to you, right? Do you need to take permission from someone else?
No.
It belongs to you, right?
Yes.
So same thing, zip code belongs to address info class. So if I have to do anything with this variable, I can do it without anyone's permission. It belongs to the same program. On the other hand, if you want to borrow someone else's car, don't you have to take the permission of that the other person?
Yeah.
Yes.
So now teacher requires the zip code information. Okay, who does zip code belong to?
Address.
There's
What
info.
you say is something like this. Now this has no error. Okay, if you need access to the zip code, it belongs to address info, right? So what we do is we take permission from that variable address dot zip. Okay, it's as if like we are taking permission from the address class to access the zip code, just like the car example. Okay, so when you are accessing data, if you are accessing that within the same program, you don't have to deal with anything. You can directly access them, change it, update, read it, print it. You can do anything. But when it comes to accessing an information that belongs outside the program, you have to do two things. First, you need a variable which has the address info data type. Okay, you need a variable which has address info data type. That's the first step. Okay, then you use the dot operator to access it. Okay, so same example, if you need a car from one of your friends, don't you need access to that person? Don't you need to know where he lives, how to connect, how to communicate, how to talk,
Yeah.
how to reach that person?
Yeah.
That's this step, reference. Okay, once you get hold of that person, then you request access. This is how you request access to that information. So getting access to that person and then requesting for whatever information you need from that person. Okay, two steps. You need to have reference to that class, and then you can use the dot operator to access that attribute. Okay, if I remove this address, is there anything called address here?
No.
No. So you can't just expect that to work by writing address. First, it's like just you stand out at your door and shout out loud saying, I need a car. Who are you talking to? You need a car? Similarly, I'm just asking, give me the zip code. Who are you asking the zip code for? So now we know we are asking the zip code for address info class. Okay, so to access a variable, there are two options. Either you don't have to worry about it, you can just access it because it belongs to you anyway. It belongs to the same program. It is local. If that information doesn't belong to you, then you need access to that program. You do get access to that program by creating a variable, a reference variable. meaning let me reach out to this program first. I did that. Once I reach out here, I will request saying, hello, Mr. Address, give me the zip code. Here you are accessing or requesting for that information. Okay, 2 steps. Declare the variable and then use the dot operator to get access to that information. You can use any information. You can use zip code, city, and so on. Okay, so street info program requires the name of the student. How do we do that? This program requires access to the name of the student.
Data type student info. Student dot.
First thing we do is
Student dot.
Student.
we need a reference.
Yeah.
Okay, we need a reference to student info first.
Student.
Once you have reference, what you can do?
Name.
Student dot name.
Request access to the variable.
And that's the thing. How do you request access? What do I write inside here? Do I write student info dot name or sti dot name?
Declare
No.
variable.
STR.
STR.
Dot name.
Okay, you need a variable first. You need a reference. You need a context. Once you reach out to, think about this like dialing the person. Okay, once you dial that person, then you ask your question. I need a name. I need a grade. I need a zip code. Okay, without reaching out to that person, you cannot have anything. That's what reference variable is for. Reference variable gives you a context, a connection to that program, isn't it? Okay, it gives you, you can reach out to that, you can reference, you can point. This, you, this person, I want the car from you. You have to point to that person. You can't just stand in a crowd and expect someone to give you the car. You need to be specific. From whom are you requesting for a car? Okay, so here, if I say I need a name, nobody understands. Who are you talking to? So you have to create a reference to that class first. I need the name from this person, student info program. So create a reference first. Once you have the reference, then you can say sti.name. Name is everywhere, right? Name is in teacher, name is in school program, name is in student info program. If I just say name, it wouldn't make any sense. Who are you talking to? Which name you need? So get the reference to the right program that you want to talk to. Once you have the reference, using the reference, you can say dot name. That's the whole point of, the reference variables. Okay. All right. So when do you use dot operator?
Call
Reference.
for reference.
Yes. If the information that you want to access is outside the program, I want a name, but I don't have a name in my program. I want the name from student info program. Okay. That's when I create the reference and say dot name. If you have the information in the same program, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to create reference or anything. Okay, do you need a reference to your own yourself? If you need
No.
to use your hand or leg? No.
No.
You can directly call that zip. It belongs to the same class. Only if the information you're trying to access is outside the class, that's when you create reference to that one specific program. You, student info, I need the name from you. So let me create a reference to you. Once I have the reference, I can use the dot operator and get the name from you. Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
Now, if your school requires the address of student, okay, this is where it gets a little tricky. Okay, so pay attention. You guys have been doing this thing, right? System.out.print. So far, you saw the use of one dot. What does two dots mean? That's the question. What does two dots mean? Now you need the address of student, right? Do you have access to student? Do you have reference to student in this program?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, there's a student info.
Student info.
You have it here. Student.street. I need the street where the student lives. I need the address, city, state, zip code. So I do have access to student, but can I say student.street? Is there anything called street here?
No.
No.
So where is the street?
The address info.
Address.
Address.
The address info. So in this program, do you have access to address info?
No.
Yes.
I'm pointing
Second,
right here.
yeah.
There, right?
There is yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So school has access to student, and student has access to its address, and address has access to its street, city, state. So how do you write it here?
Student.address.street.
That's it. This line will print where the student lives, which city. So you see the use of two dots now, why we needed that?
So
Yeah.
up to how many dots we can use then?
That's what I
As
was
many
asking.
level deep as you want.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sometime you might have like 4, 5, 6 dots.
Okay. As per the need. Okay.
Exactly. Now take this example, right? Now you have a customer. Okay, this is a customer. Customer wants to know more about the product. Okay, product has name, quantity, price, reviews. Now review is another complex information, right? Review has comments, ratings, who posted the review, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you have to create another thing, review. Okay, review has
Comments.
ratings, comments. Okay, if customer wants to access the rating on the product, okay, let's say customer has this product P variable. Okay, review R variable, rating rat. Okay, this is what you have in the customer program. If you want to see what is the ratings for the product, for this product, how do you write it?
P.R.rat.
P
Dot
dot
R dot
R
dot rat.
dot
Yeah.
rat. That's it. I have reference to product object here, product P. I go to this product object and I see review here. So review's variable name is R. In that class, I have rating variable rat. So p.r.rat gives me the review of the rating. So that's the thing, right? So as I told you, whatever project you work on, there will be hundreds of Java program that your project contains. And every program is bound to, communicate with each other all the time. Just like this. If customer needs rating, you do customer.product.review. Okay, if the school requires the address of a student, you need student reference dot address reference dot city, and this can go as many level deep as you want. Okay, it depends on how many references, how many connections. Okay, these are all connections spread across like a mesh. Okay, it's like a network mesh. All these connections are between each other programs, and you do access them through the dot 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 operators. Okay, provided each one of the class in the chain has a reference. Customer has a reference to product, product P. Product has a reference to review, review R. Review has the reference to ratings, RAT. Provided you have this sequence, this chain, you can link them any way you want. P.R.rat. If there is no link, you can't access them. Okay, what if there is another program in your project? Let's call it employee program. Now customer wants to know the employee salary. How will you access it here with the current setting?
The salary.
So
Customer
you
gets
make
salary
a new,
first, right?
You can't.
you can't, you have to put employee dot.
Okay, there is no connection, right? Product customer has access to only product information. Product has access to this. None of this refers to the employee class, and it has access to review, which doesn't have access to the employee class. So there is no connection to this program. So you cannot reach from here to here, given that this is the structure we have. Okay, to give that access, you need to have some kind of a chain, some link. Customer knows, it's like, I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who can get you the things you want. Okay, unless you don't have that contact, that reference, how can you get your things, right? Unless you have contact. Okay, this guy knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, and there you have it, your ratings. You can get access to ratings. You need contacts in the link or reference in the link. If you do not have reference to this, you cannot reach here from here. Okay, you need contact, you need chain contact, you need references, and then you can use this multiple dot, as many dots as you want. If you have like 5 classes with the link to each other, you can say dot those many times. Okay, you guys get the idea?
Yeah.
So school test has student info reference. The variable name is student, and student info has address reference. Address info has state. So what do you feel system.out is? Just follow the
Okay.
same example. System is a class which has a reference out, which has a method println.
Print.
Okay, just like school test has student info, system class has out variable. Okay, school test has student reference variable, student. System has an out reference variable. That's the connection here. All right, so you guys understand the use of dot and how it works. Okay, remember, you can only access that through references. If it belongs to you, you don't need dot at all. Okay, if it belongs to the same program, you don't need dot or anything to access state, city, zip code, nothing. You don't need a dot. But if you don't have it, you have to rely on the references. Okay, What if I need the house number of the student? How do I write it? The school requires the house number of the student.
Student.
There is no house number.
Student info cross
Login.
Student dot
student info
Street.
street
student
Street
dot
info.
street. So
No.
student is a student info class, right?
Yeah.
Do you see anything called street here?
No,
No.
we have to go first street info.
Street info.
So what do you write here? Student dot.
Street info.
Address.
Address.
Okay. Wait a minute, guys. Why are you saying street info here? I'm referring to student class, isn't it? Student. I'm referring to student class. Do you see anything called student street info here?
No.
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 Why would student dot street info work?
No.
Follow the chain. Follow the link.
Because it has access to address info.
So can I just write street info here?
No.
What do I write
No.
first?
Address.
Remember the chain.
Address. You
Practice
have to
here.
do the, yeah, you have to do the address.
Student dot address.
Dot.
Street.
House number.
Then
Street.
very good. Street. Then
Then you need a house number, right?
that's it.
Hmm.
Follow the link, just like you did here. If you need ratings, I know product has ratings, but it doesn't have direct access to rating, isn't it? Rating is tucked away inside reviews. So you don't say p.rat. You don't say p.rat. You go to the next person who has access to that information. P has access to reviews. R. Review has access to ratings. So you say p.r.rat. You don't say p.rat. If you say p.rat, you're looking for the ratings inside product. Do you see anything called ratings here?
No.
The same rule applies here. The first person in chain is student info. All we know is about the student. But does student info class has the street? Not directly, no. But it knows a person who can give you that information. That person is address info. So then in address info, again, do you have the house number?
No.
You
No.
don't. But do you know the person who has house number?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go to that guy and get the house number. So student dot address dot street dot house number. That's how you write it. Remember, this is just a chain of events, chain of link, chain of references. School has reference to student. Student has reference to address. Address has reference to street. And then street has reference to house number. So if school requires access to house number, you have to go through the person who knows the next best, closest, and then the next closest, and finally the data. School cannot have direct access to house number. It has to go through the person who knows about that, the next closest person, the next, until you get what you want.
This conference will now be recorded.
So Abdul, Facebook needs access to the customer's message. How do you get that? The Facebook program requires access to customer's message. Abdul, you there? Amar, guys, speak up. This is a
Yes.
Facebook software
Mm-hmm.
which has 8
Yes.
programs. Facebook
Yeah.
software has 8 programs. These are the classes, and every
Mm-hmm.
class has reference to other programs and so on. Okay, I want you guys to attempt. Tell me what you feel. Amar,
Yes, sir.
Facebook program requires customer's message. Who has access to post? First of all, message is in which class?
Customer.
Message
Customer.
is in which class?
Post.
Post.
First one.
Who? What are you saying, customer? Can't you see the program here?
Yeah, the customer.
This is the class, and these are the references. Class references. Class references. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, message data belongs to which program?
Post.
Post.
Customer
Any
profile
of the programs here has access to post?
Profile.
profile has it.
Okay, everyone will get a chance. Okay, I'll ask each one of you, not in a hurry. Okay, Amar,
Yes, sir.
the post program has reference in which class? Is any other program pointing to or referencing the post class?
No.
Anusha?
Yeah, this is profile.
Okay, so I hope you guys see this thing. Okay, so message is inside post. Post reference is inside profile. Okay. Do we have any other program which has reference to profile program?
Customer.
Customer.
Profile.
Okay. Customer. So Facebook has access to the customer.
Yeah, and then profile.
Okay. So do you see the footprint? What is the
Yeah.
track here? Facebook has access to customer, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Customer has
And
reference to
customer.
profile.
Profile.
Profile has reference to post.
Post.
Post has access to message. If you follow the link, you can access message right here. You know the link? So how do we access it?
Customer dot.
Customer.
Again, let Amar try first.
Okay.
Customer dot profile.
Now, do I write customer or do I write CUS?
CUS.
CUS
Dot PR.
Very good.
Dot. And then just give me a moment. Message. Profile. P.
Good.
Dot EMS. MES.
That's it. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Anusha? Anusha. All right, Ashmita.
Yes.
Facebook needs access to customers' credit card.
Uh-huh.
How do you access?
So, customer, which is CUS, dot, credit card. You go to PR,
Mhm.
dot, profile does not have any customer credit card.
So,
We cannot link over there.
yes, you cannot access credit card.
Yeah.
Okay. Bhakta,
Yes, sir.
Facebook needs to know your school's name.
Mm, school name. Okay, school is there. Student name. Okay, we can do customer cus.pr .sc. Sorry, yeah, .sc. Then from there .name.
That's it. Shabani,
Yes, sir.
Facebook needs to know what is your principal's name. What is the customer's school principal's name?
So we're gonna have COS dot PR dot SC dot name.
I need principal's name.
You said the principal's name?
Hmm?
Yes, sure. Customer and then profile. Uh, so that SCE that name. Okay.
This name is school's name. So I did not ask school's name. I asked the name of the principal of the school.
Oh, we cannot access that.
We cannot. There is no link to this
Yeah,
program.
there's no link for that.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Luna,
Yes.
Facebook requires the city of the customer.
City.
Mhm.
File address. What? Customers US dot city. Just give me a second. I'm looking. And city is not linked anywhere on the chain.
Backtrack.
Okay. Customer address. Okay. Oh yeah, it's in profile. Sorry. Customer dot PR dot address AD dot C or city
C or city.
city.
Just C. We do not call the class name. We call the variable reference name.
Okay, sorry.
Shrestha,
Yes, sir.
the school requires students' credit card.
There is no link, sir. School and credit card.
Very good.
Cool.
Dinesh,
Yes, sir.
Customer requires access to Facebook's CEO information.
CUS dot
Customer
customer.
requires access to Facebook's CEO info.
We cannot do that, I think.
You cannot. CEO is part of Facebook class. Do you have any reference to Facebook class inside customer?
No.
You don't.
No.
DK,
Yes, sir.
customer requires access to their post, pictures.
Okay, PR dot P.
Yes?
Customer PR dot P dot PI. P dot
Yeah,
PI.
dot.
P dot PI.
That's it. From this program, I want to reach here. So remember, not everything goes from Facebook. Any program can try to access any other program, provided they have the link, they have references, they have contacts. Okay, do not limit yourself to something like only Facebook is the one program that will reach out to other programs. No, anyone can reach to anyone, provided they have the reference, they have the link, they have the contacts to the other program. Kajal.
Yes, sir.
The profile program requires access to principal's name. This program requires access to this variable, this reference variable.
I don't think it can.
Yes. Manish,
Yes.
Facebook requires access to CEO info.
Just CI.
Very good. No dot, nothing. The same program requires to access an information that already belongs to the same program. Just CI. No dot, no CR, CUS, nothing. Mohan,
Yes, sir.
the post program requires access to credit card, this digits.
I think there is no connection on that. You can't.
Naresh,
Yes, sir.
Facebook program requires access to customers' pictures.
CUS dot PR dot P dot PI.
That's it. Rupesh, school requires access to messages.
There's no link.
No link. But if you can make changes to this program, what would you have to write here to get access to this?
Post.
There is no link, that's true, but I'm saying you're allowed to make changes in this program.
You can write the post.
Okay, tell me, what do I write?
Post.
Post.
And message. Post PI.
What do I write here?
Profile.
Sabuj?
Yes, sir. We can do that by using a dot operation.
What is this going on here? This is a declaration, isn't it?
Yes.
Data type, variable name. It's a declaration. Why are you guys saying post profile? What is it even related to? What is post profile?
It's a post
What is
P.
post P? You have to declare a variable, isn't it? How do we
Yes.
declare a
Profile.
variable?
Mm-hmm.
Post P.
Post, call it whatever you want, not P. P-O-P-O-S, whatever you want. It's just a name. So once you create that, how can you access the messages now from this program? Sabuj?
Yes, sir.
How do you access the pictures from school?
Sure.
Sakina?
Yes, sir.
Hmm?
Yeah, it's me, Razon. Yeah.
What was that?
Razon is just showing the name of my wife, but yeah, it's me, Razon. Yeah.
Can you change your name? Display the name?
Yeah, I'll do tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So do you understand what we need to write? How do we access the pictures from here?
CVS dot
From
PR.
school.
Oh, we are do from school. We have to go PRO dot P dot picture, I think.
Vardha?
Yes, it's pos.pi.
That's right. Now see, you have to write the program yourself. No one is going to give you a written program and ask you just to call the variable using dot. If the information is not available, aren't you supposed to declare a variable yourself
Mm-hmm.
and then access it? You guys have to understand that. Now, technically, does it make sense to just say post POS? If school says, I want to read a post,
Mm-hmm.
Does that any make sense? I mean, who's post?
Oh, student.
Even though this
Yes.
does the job, but does it make technically
Sense. No sense.
any
Yeah.
sense?
No.
Okay, school says I have a post. I have an access to Facebook post. Whose post?
It need to be someone close, like students or principal or
Yeah.
School post.
The right choice here would have been customer, like this. So now school
Yes.
will say, I will go to customers profile, and therefore from their profile I'll go to their post and then get the pictures. Now you ask, whose pictures, whose posts are these? You know it belongs to this customer. Just because you need a connection between this program and this program, and technically this still makes sense technically, okay? Because if you want to access anything outside the variable, outside the program, you need to create a reference to this program, okay? It technically makes sense, but logically, does it make sense?
No.
I want to read a post. Whose post? That doesn't make sense. But so just to get the program logic, program work, you can't just make the connections between any program that you feel okay. You need to have the right context. Here it makes sense. Facebook has customer. Customer has profile. Profile has post. Post has message. There is a logical and technical link both in this design, isn't it? This would not make sense. School has a post. Post about what? Whose post are we talking about? There is no logical path. It logically doesn't make sense. Technically, yes, it makes sense. School needs your message. So what it does is it will create post reference. But sometimes the easy way out is not the right choice, logically. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, think logically this time, not just technical aspect. Think logically, okay? Dinesh. Integrate or join this standalone program. Every program is connected to each other, okay? Every program is connected to each other. These two programs stand apart. They're not in any way connected to the group, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do we see customer credit card in any of the programs? Any references?
No.
Principal school? No. So help me join this program to the group. Make these two programs part of the group now. How about customer credit card? Think logically. Which program should this class be part of? Just say the things, generally. Which do you see? Which program do you see the best suitable program to be part of? Credit card.
The customer?
Very good. Customer has profile, customer has credit card. Makes sense. Post has a credit card, doesn't make sense. Address has credit card, doesn't make sense. Customer has profile, customer has credit card. This makes sense. Kajal?
Yes, sir.
Principal school.
We can link it with school.
Very good. Okay, so always think about has a relationship when you're talking about variables. When you're talking about reference variable or primitive variable, try to connect them has a. Now, how do you put this properly? Okay. Facebook has principal. Does that make sense?
No.
Profile has principal.
No.
No.
Principal has school.
Yes.
No.
It doesn't. Principal doesn't have school. School has principal, isn't it?
Please.
Okay. So if you just want to join this program to the group, you have to decide who will create the reference in which class. Okay. Just because you want this program to be part of this group, this chain, this network, okay, you can't just join them willy-nilly any way you want. Just because we want the connection between principal and school, you shouldn't go and create a class like this, create a link like this. It doesn't make sense. Principal doesn't contain school. School contains principal. School has principal. Principal doesn't have school. Principal is part of school, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
So this would be wrong. School is not part of principal, but principal is part of school. Okay, principal is part of school. So these are all your information about the program. Customer has profile. Customer has credit card. This information is part of customer. Always. Okay, you don't have to go that far away from the real world. Just think logically. Does it really make sense when you write the program, where you connect the dots? If you have 20 different programs, if you want to join them, you have to come up with the right combination. Okay, just phrase that in a proper English language or English sentence, and you can see if it is correct or not. Where do I create the reference, and where don't we, just declare them? You have to connect the dots. Facebook doesn't have post. Facebook's customer has post, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
It logically makes sense. All right, so you have 10 minutes. You guys have to come up with all the references. You have to connect the dots. Okay, just plain and simple, put that in a proper sentence. See the connection. Which program is linked to which program? Okay, you can have, sometimes you can have just one information linked. You can have more than one. Just you guys have been using emails, right? So none of these are new to you. Okay, when you log into Gmail, when you subscribe to Gmail, you have your profile, you have your address. Okay, you send emails. In the email you have subject. Okay, you write the email content, you have inbox. Gmail has customers. So you know nothing is new here. Okay, just visualize how you guys have been using, phrase them in a proper sentence, how these all terms connect to each other. Okay, and come up with the configuration, come up with the design. Okay, like this. Facebook has customer has this, post has that. Okay, 10 minutes. If you want to add another features in this, you're welcome. Okay, if you want to add another programs that is related to the Gmail software, do that. Okay, you can add more programs to the list. Just make sure they're all part of the group. Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so think about any softwares, your cell phone software, Amazon, eBay, okay, bank account, banking websites. Think about any softwares out there and try to define the relationship here. Okay, this is what we call data structure. This is how your data is organized. Okay, now you have to try to understand the context. Okay, how do you say Gmail has profile and address? Gmail doesn't have any email ID. Okay, Gmail's customer has email, isn't it?
Yep.
So you have to try to relate them. Okay, it's nothing new really. Okay, you have to try to put everything in proper context. You have to be as clear logically and technically as possible. Only then you can relate them. Okay, you can't see everything makes sense. Inbox, email, customer, profile, they all appear in the Gmail website. Does that mean we put everything in the Gmail class?
No.
So what's the point, right? If you put everything in one class, why do you think they have tens of thousands of IT employees if the entire Gmail website runs in one program? Don't they need one programmer?
Yes.
So you guys have to try to think like that. Okay, you have to think technically and logically. Gmail doesn't have email subjects. Email subject is part of email. When you're writing an email, you write the email subject, you write the email content, and you hit send. So isn't that all part of one email?
Yes.
So you have to start thinking like that.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so let's look at the memory view of your data. Okay. So whenever you want to test a program, you need to create a main method. Okay. So what we typically do is we create a new class. Okay. And we create a main method. Okay. Main method is what you need if you want to run the program. Okay. See, this one, if you want to run the program, you do like this, right? You click on run. Okay, so here, another way to run the program or execute is, other than this green button, is you right click on the program, run as, do you see any run option here? Run Java application or anything? You don't, okay? So let's create one. Now this program has public static void main, okay? Now this is the method which is considered as a gateway, entry point of your application, okay? Any program that has public static void main can be run like this, run as Java application. Okay, you want to execute, launch the software. The only way to launch a software is if there is a program which has this line, public static void main. Okay, so do you see any option here, run as Java application?
No,
No.
not
Only
there.
program that allows you to run the Java application is the one which has public static void main. We will go in detail what the whole line means, okay, when we go to each of these chapters, static, arrays, and all this, okay. But for now, remember, if you want to run the program, run your application, launch your application, only way you can do that is if one of the program in your project, in your software, has this line, public static void main. Okay, so in this school application, we have one program, testing school app, which has public static void main. Okay, so right click, run as, we have Java application. Okay, you can run the program. Now, if I want to access school name, how do I access it from here? How can I access name in this program?
And
Yes, how?
String name, public.
We just did the whole thing, right? We just did the whole thing, CR, PR, PI.
And ASON.
If
To
school
create an object of school
School
test,
test.
school test.
ST, semicolon,
Okay,
then ST dot
print.
name,
st.name. Okay, so just like we did here, if teacher needs information about the address, okay, you need to have the reference to address, right? Did we had any reference here for the school test? That's what we did here. We created a reference to school test. If you need school test program, if you need the name of school test program, you need to create a reference of that program. That's what we did here. Once you have a reference, then you can say st.name, don't you? How will I get the street name from this class?
Street info. Equals now.
And
si dot street name.
yes. So you understand why you need reference, right? Just like I talked to you, if you don't have the link to the other program, how can you access the information from that? If there is no link to the other program, you need a link to this program. You can do that provided you have a reference like this. Okay. All right, so here is the next thing I wanted to tell you. For primitive data type, the values are what? For primitive data type, the values are
0 and false.
Declared.
literal. Okay, it
Yeah,
has
literal.
literal values, numbers, 0, 0, something like that. For object, it is usually a reference. Okay, objects, they are pointing to another class, whereas primitive, you have literal values. Okay, so how do we create assigned values to a program? That's the next question. So what you do here is something like this: new school test. Again, nothing to worry about it. I will explain you in detail what is new, what is this bracket, everything. Okay, but for now, just remember, if you need to assign a value for non-primitive types, if you need to assign a value to non-primitive types, you have to write equals new space, copy the same class name here, followed by a parenthesis. Okay, we call this parenthesis. That's the parenthesis bracket, and then you have a curly bracket. Okay, these are two different things: parenthesis and curly brackets. Okay, parenthesis looks like this, whereas curly bracket looks like this. Okay, now the question is, what happens in the memory when you launch the program? Okay, so you remember about the whole memory concept, right? I told you what happens, where it is stored, where it runs, right? So what is a workspace and storage space?
The storage space is the hard drive.
Mhm.
The workspace is the RAM.
Memory.
Is the
Yeah.
RAM memory. Okay.
RAM memory.
So when you run the program, where is this program running? Which memory?
It's the RAM.
RAM.
The RAM. Okay, that's the action. That's where action happens. Workspace. Okay, so when you run the program, all these programs has to be loaded, right? So like I told you in the first class, this is just a storage space. This is just a storage space. When you run the program, like when you launch this software or when you run this software, it launches. It is running now. Google Chrome software is running. So when the program is running, it is transferred to the workspace. Okay, until then, it sits idly in the storage space. Only when it is in action, when it is working, when it is running, when it is launched, it runs in this space, RAM. Similarly, when you launch this program, run as Java application, when you run this program, your entire project will be loaded where?
CPU.
Which memory is it loaded into?
In the RAM for shutdown.
RAM.
The RAM. Okay. So in Java, we have something called heap space. Okay. In the RAM, heap space is allocated to you. Okay. The more technical term for this memory is heap space. Okay. So this is the RAM memory where the program is loaded. So the question is how this program gets loaded. Okay. How this program gets loaded. So let's look at that. When you say new, a copy of this program is loaded into memory. Okay, school test program is loaded into memory. How does it get loaded is what we'll see now. Okay, now as you remember, class is a blueprint, isn't it? So what do we do with the blueprints generally? What do you do with the house blueprint?
We built the house.
It's a reference to build a house.
You build the house. You look at the map, the layouts, and you build the house, right? Just like that, when you say new, this is the process of building this blueprint. Okay, if this is a blueprint of school test program, if this is the blueprint, when you say new school test, what happens is, looking at this blueprint, we will construct this in the memory. Just like the example, look at the house blueprint and construct the house. So when you run this program and when you encounter this line, this is a line where you'll refer this blueprint and load it. Okay, so first thing first, what we do here when you say new school test is new, create a new memory allocation. Okay, some memory is reserved. This is the reserved space. Okay, in your RAM we have something called heap space for Java softwares. Okay, so think about heap space as a subset. It's a small memory allocated for the Java programs. Okay, so here we allocate a memory for the school test object. Okay, so when you say new, refer the blueprint and allocate some space in the memory. Now, the RAM has like 8 GB of memory, isn't it? 8, 10 gigabytes of memory, gigabytes, billions of bytes. Do you know where this object was created in the memory? Can you guess where it is created? Exact location? No. Do you know the exact location where this object is created in that billions of bytes that you have in RAM?
No.
You don't. So what happens is, when you create an object, this address, the location where this object is created in the memory, is passed on to this reference variable. So st is basically a key to the locker where school test object is created. It's an address where the school test object was constructed. So st is just a reference. Okay, st is pointing to what address? 123, and hence the name reference. Why is this reference? Okay, why is this called a reference versus this a primitive? Let's see. When you create this object in the memory, okay, in this program I created two objects, right? One is a reference variable, another is a primitive variable. I created two of types, right? How does it get created in the memory is the question. So when this program launches, at this line, st is pointing to an address in the memory, whereas abc is not pointing to an address, but it literally has a value, isn't it?
Yes.
Hashtag means address, you know that. Hashtag means address. st variable is pointing to an address, whereas primitive variable is pointing literally to the value 100. That's the difference, primitive and reference. This is a reference to this address, whereas abc, the primitive data type int, is not referencing to any location in the memory. It literally has the value 100. Reference versus primitive. So do you understand how variables are stored in the memory? Okay, let's look at more examples. Now, when you create this object, school test, you allocated some location, right? At address 123. But looking at the blueprint, do you just construct the outside of the house, or that house contains things as well inside?
Contains things.
It contains things. So isn't this an empty house?
No.
It's empty house.
There is nothing inside it.
Yes.
So when you create an object of reference or another class, it usually is not empty, just like the house. Okay, you look at a blueprint and you don't construct the exterior only. You construct everything inside. Kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, hall, everything is filled up inside. Okay, so blueprint gives you an idea on what all things are inside. Okay, it's not about just allocating memory, but it also tells you what are the things inside. So what we do is, okay, so when you say school test in your program, when you say school test, st equals new school test. Okay, what we do is we refer the blueprint for school test. Okay, whenever you say new, we refer the blueprint for school test, and we go through every single instruction in that, okay, on how to construct a school test object in the memory. Okay, we'll go through every single details. So looking at the blueprint, we know that school test has teacher info, student info, name, and contact. We know that school test has these things. This is a blueprint. So this tells us how to construct this program. Okay, so when you say school test, new school test, it will basically refer this blueprint and construct this object as per the instructions in this blueprint. Okay, so school test has teacher info, student info, string, and long. Okay, it has 4 information. Now, did we say new for teacher? Did we say anything like this?
No.
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 So if you don't say like this, it will not create any object in the memory. Okay, it will rather point to a value called null. What does null mean? It is not referencing to anything.
Nothing.
Okay, it is not referencing to anything. This is not null. ST is not null. Why? ST is referencing to an address, whereas teacher info is null because we did not write equals new teacher info. So this is not pointing anywhere. Okay, this is not pointing anywhere. It is just null. Same goes with this. Same goes with this. Now long, on the other hand, is primitive data type. So primitive data type has values, default values. And what is that?
0.
0. Primitive data type has values, default values. Long has 0, int has 0, boolean has false, float has 0.0. So you have a default value for primitive, whereas for reference variables, you always have null.
No.
Unless you explicitly write st equals new school. Okay, unless you explicitly write st equals new school. Okay, so before the school example, let me just give a simple person example. Now, if I want to print what we have in age from this class, how do I do that?
Person.
Okay.
No. We can give a number. P equals new. Person.
Then
Age.
what do I write here?
P dot is
Periodic, sorry.
Print this. What value did you get?
0.
0. Default value. Do you see any values here? It
Oh,
just says
wow.
this thing, right?
Yes, that makes sense.
Now, this is not primitive, right? It is another class. So what type of variable is this?
Object.
Object. In other words, reference variable. When you print this, null. Age has a default value of 0. Primitive data types has values, default values. Whereas reference variable objects do not have default values. Okay, they will show you as null. Now, null pointer exception. Here, when you say address add, did you create any object for this? Did you create any memory?
No.
No.
No. It is null. It is not pointing to any memory, right? So if there is no information available for address, how do you get the city from that without the information? That's why the null pointer exception. When you say null pointer exception, what it means is we are trying to access address inside address city. If address is not pointing to any real thing, city doesn't exist. If address doesn't exist, how can the city exist? Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
For primitive data types, think about variables as a key. Okay. Key is age, and the locker box, okay, when you open a brand new locker, okay, what will be the contents of that? You go to a bank, you sign up for a locker. Will there anything be there, like money or anything?
Empty.
Nothing.
No, empty.
Empty. 0. Okay. This is a locker key, and the content in this box is
Empty.
0.
20.
20.
Okay. So this is opening an account with money or opening an account without money. That kind of a situation. Okay. Key and the locker box. In case of reference variables, okay, this is primitive, this is a reference variable. In case of reference variable, when you do this, key exists and locker box doesn't exist. Now, if I give you the key and ask you to bring the contents from this, whatever locker box this key belongs to, will you be able to do that? If I just give you a key and the locker box doesn't exist, if I ask you to bring the contents from that, will you be able to do that?
No.
No. No.
Because locker box doesn't exist. When you say new address, in this case, I will give you a key and I'll tell you where the locker box is as well, both. Will you be able to give me the contents? If nothing, you can tell there is nothing.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the difference between these two. This is a key without locker box, and this is a key with locker box. This has never been created. In this case, all you have is an empty key. You have no clue which locker box it fits to. Maybe locker box doesn't even exist. That's the difference. So here, if I ask you to get me the city from this address, would you know what city I'm referring to if it was never existing?
No.
No. Okay, you get the context between these two lines, right? So what we call these two lines is, this is what we call declaration. And this is what we call initialization. Initialization is like a setup. I set up everything for you. Okay, I set up the locker box and I hand over the key to you and I tell you this is where your key fits into. Initialization is a process where you set up everything. The key knows which locker box it fits into. This is what we call declaration. We are just declaring. We are declaring that there is a variable called add, which is referencing to a class blueprint address. Declaration, initialization. Okay, so when do you use the term initially? Something where you refer to the first time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, initially I worked in New York and now I'm working in Washington. That's the first time I worked here and then there. Initially I had a Hyundai car and now I have a Nissan car. The first time I had Nissan, Hyundai. That's how you phrase the term initially, right? The first time. So the first time I got this box whose key was add. Declaration, initialization. Okay, if you just declare and not initialize, this will be empty. This will be pointing to nothing. You will get nothing out of this. Whatever is inside the address class, you won't get it. Okay, let's look at the school example. If I want to print the teacher's salary, I will say st dot I want salary.
st dot
st dot.
Just remember what we did on the spreadsheet.
yeah
st dot teacher
Teacher alpha.
Dot
Teacher info.
dot salary.
dot salary.
That's it. The question is, will this program crash, fail, or will it print 100? That's the question. Okay, let's see. It failed. So for school test, we created object, isn't it? So is this key pointing to an empty locker box or some locker box?
Some locker box.
Yes. So st.teacher, we go in here. Is teacher pointing to an empty locker box or does it exist some content?
Some content.
Did I say new teacher?
No,
No.
No.
So is it empty or not?
empty.
It's empty. If this is pointing to nothing, how can you get this information?
Oh, you have to do teacher.
Mm.
It's empty.
Teacher info.
You never created anything. Okay, these are all keys. Think about this all like keys.
Oh yeah, so yeah, these are empty. Yeah.
If you never say new, this will be pointing to nothing. That is null. Null pointer exception. Meaning this teacher is null. If it is not pointing to anything, if the teacher doesn't exist, how do you know what salary you're talking about? If there is no teacher, how can you get a salary of a non-existing teacher? So this time I will do this. So does the teacher exist now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now.
What did you get?
Okay. Now value.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
You got the salary value. Yeah. Correct.
How you got the salary value? Because now the teacher exists. I said new. So declaring is one thing. This is declaration. Initialization is other. This, I just gave you a blank key with no idea what locker it fits into. Just a key. It doesn't fit into any locker. There is no locker for this key. You can't do anything with this. But if I give you the key and I create a locker for you, now you know where this key fits into. So once I give you some space, you can actually access everything.
I don't know my question is dumb or not, but I'm gonna ask it. Instead of the after ST, can we put teacher info dot salary? Or is the whole function we cannot do it?
You can. That's no problem.
You can?
Yeah. If you want like this, you can do this.
No, in the system dot out dot println where you put the ST dot teacher instead of the teacher, can we put the teacher info and it's gonna print the same thing, or no, it's not gonna work? Yeah, right here. Can we put teacher info?
You can't do this.
You can do this? Okay, yeah. Because that's a whole another function, right? That we are calling it.
Yeah, remember, dot is only
Okay.
applied to reference variables. Remember?
Reference variables. Okay.
Okay. These are what we call reference variables.
Okay.
Okay. School test has a reference variable called teacher. You can apply dot only to these things.
Okay.
What will it print?
Nothing. No.
No.
No, no.
Error.
Yes, the options are, it will print the name, it will print null, or it will error.
Error.
Error. Student dot. So how do we fix this?
Putting new.
Student, new student.
Student info. Yeah. Student ST.
We have to assign the student value.
We have to point the student to name.
So what do I write?
New.
Student.
And the test, you can do in the testing school app or the student info.
Goes to new student info. No.
Yeah.
Go
No
to
student
new
name.
student info.
Yeah.
Okay, got it now.
There's no value here. What will it print?
0.
0.
0.
Very good.
No.
For primitive data types, you have default values. For reference variable, what's the default value?
None.
No.
No.
It's like this. You don't even have to write it. Get the idea what exactly these things you need to do? Okay, if you don't do this, it will be pointing to nothing. Okay. Okay, this is one class. Okay, let's see why it happens like that. Okay, now let's look at this carefully. Out of these three classes, which program can you launch? Which program can you run?
ST School App. The third one. Yeah.
The third one. Only
Mm-hmm.
program that has this line.
The
Public
word
static.
names.
That is the program that you can run. So when you run this program, what is the first line here?
The school test. ST.
School test, yeah.
And when you say equals new, what is it going to do?
It will point to
It's pointing to a reference. School test.
New means create this in the memory. Just like the blueprint example I gave you. If you give a blueprint, house blueprint to a constructor, what do? They construct that house, don't they? That's what new means. So here you're giving instructions to the Java program that I want to build school test. So first thing first, equal sign. Equal sign is what we call assignment operator, assign. So what does the term assign mean?
It's giving some work. It's telling
Giving some work to the other person, giving something to the other person, right?
Mm.
That's what it means here as well. Here, equal sign means whatever you have on the right hand side will be assigned to the left hand
A.
side. Okay,
it.
so this is saying the right hand side value 10 is assigned to left hand side variable, primitive variable A. This line means the right hand side value 10 is assigned to left hand side primitive variable A. So when I print A, what do I get?
10.
When you print, you get whatever value the A has. In this case, it is
10.
10.
Okay? So that's what equal sign means, assignment. Whatever you have on the right hand side, assign it to the left hand side. So in this line, when you say new address, what it does is it will create a new object in the memory and gives you the reference address to the add variable. Okay, create a new object and give the location of that new object to the add variable. Here, what object are we going to create now?
New teacher info.
Here.
Oh, new test, new school test.
So first thing you need to remember is to create school test, to construct school test, I need to refer to the blueprint. So where is the blueprint for school test?
In school test, class school test.
New teacher.
This
Yeah,
is the
class
blueprint
school.
for school test.
Okay.
Now, as per this blueprint, what does school test contain? What does it have?
Teacher
Teacher info.
Teacher
Teacher
info.
info.
So what it does is it will create teacher info. Okay, it created teacher info. Now, where is teacher info pointing to?
Right
What's the
now,
value?
nothing. None.
Null or nothing?
Nothing. No.
Now, as per the blueprint, our object has been successfully created in the memory. Okay, let's say it was created in a location 1, 2, 3. So that's the right hand side. When you say new school test, it will build an object of school test in the memory by referring the blueprint, and this address will be sent back or assigned to st variable, left hand side. So right now, what does st has?
School test. 1, 2, 3.
st has the address to 1, 2, 3. Okay, In the next line, I say st.teacher.salary. st is pointing to address 123. So go to that address. In this address, do you have anything called teacher?
Yes.
Here.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm saying teacher.salary. Is teacher pointing to anything which contains salary?
No.
That's why you get the error null pointer exception. Because teacher is pointing to nothing. So how can you say teacher.salary if it is not pointing to anything? So let's make a slight adjustment here now. Again, go back to line number 15. New school test. Refer to the blueprint and construct school test. That's what we're saying. Refer to the blueprint and construct school test. Inside school test, what do we have?
Teacher info.
Teacher info.
What do we have on the right hand side here?
We have
Blueprint.
teacher info.
Every time you hear the term new, what does it mean?
Edit.
Reference.
It's a new place. It's
You
saving to
create
your memory.
object in the memory.
Mm-hmm.
This time, which object are we going to create?
Teacher info.
Teacher info.
Teacher info.
Because you said new teacher info, right? So my job, the Java platform job, every time you say new something, you're going to create that object. Here I said new school test. So what did I create? I created a school test. You go to school test and you say inside that I want to create new teacher. What do? You create teacher info. So now the question is, where is the blueprint for this object?
And the class. Teacher info.
In the class, this is the blueprint. If you want to construct teacher info, you have to refer the blueprint. Now, as per the blueprint, what does teacher info has?
Name.
Names. Salaries.
Integer salary is 200. Integer age.
What is the value of age?
0.
0.
Very good. It's 0 because default value for primitive is
Primitive.
0.
0.
How about salary? Is it 0 as well?
It's 100 is declared there.
100. It's 100.
100. Now name is not a primitive.
Null.
Null.
No.
So it will be null. So when you are done with the right hand side, what happens next?
Null.
After you create the object, wherever this object was created, that address is copied onto the reference variable. So what is the reference variable in this line?
Teacher.
Teacher info.
So what value will teacher have now instead of null?
The teacher info.
Teacher info.
Yeah,
It will be the
TTP.
address.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it will be the address. Now st, the same question here. Now that school test has been constructed, what happens next? On the right hand side, when you create the object, what happens next?
It's going to save an ST.
So this time, when I say st.teacher.salary, st, where is st pointing to?
111.
111.
So go to that address. In this address, do you see anything called teacher?
Teacher info.
Now where is teacher pointing to?
222.
222.
Teacher.salary. Wherever teacher is pointing, do you see anything called salary?
Yes. $100.
So what will it print?
100.
That's why it printed 100 when you had new teacher info. And it printed error when you didn't have new teacher info. That's the reason. Because you were pointing to something. Okay. So whenever you see an equal sign, first thing you do is right hand side processing. Whatever you see on the right hand side, deal with that first. Okay. New means
According to a new, it's like creating a new place.
create
New memory.
object.
Object.
Okay. In the memory. New object of what?
Student.
Student, because we say new student. How do I know how to construct student?
We're calling a function.
How do you know how to build a car?
Blueprint.
You need the blueprint.
Oh, blueprint.
So if you need to create student, what blueprint do you need?
Student's blueprint.
Student's blueprint.
Student, yes.
In Java term, what's a blueprint?
Class.
It's the class. Okay. Now that you are done with the right hand side, okay, this is the whole process of creating object of student. Okay. What then? After you created the object, the right hand side, what does the equal sign symbol?
Assigning.
Assignment. You assign the right hand side to the left hand side, isn't it? Okay. So what happens is, as part of new object creation, when you create an object like this, what you get in return is the address, #111, #222. This is the address in your memory where this object is created. You get the address. So that address, as the assignment operator goes, is assigned to left hand side. This is the whole process of this line. So Dinesh, step 1 and 2, what happens?
It's the same thing. RSS processing.
And
Create a new object in memory.
which object?
New person info.
There is no info. Okay, person. Okay.
New person. Yeah.
Kajal, how do you know how to construct the person object? Kajal? Manish?
Yes.
How do you know how to construct a person object?
Because you created a new.
How do you construct this object?
Can I do?
Yeah, I thought it would be easier when I have clearly written the steps here.
Refer blueprint.
Yes.
The class.
That is, you look at
Create
line
a
number
class.
10 to 13.
Mm-hmm.
This is the blueprint. So Naresh, what will happen in the memory after you see the blueprint? Rajan?
What's the question, sir, please?
What happens in the memory once you read the blueprint?
I think we need to create the
Varda?
Yes, sir.
What happens in the memory when you load or read this blueprint?
It's gonna create a new place for that.
Very good. It will create a new place, and what will be the content?
The class.
What will that new place contain?
The person.
Tell me, what do you have inside that person?
The objects.
Will have name and age.
Yeah, the string and the integer.
This conference will now be recorded.
Object creation. The first question you should ask is what and where. Where is object created in the digital world? Where do things exist in the digital world?
Memory.
The memory. So do you understand where the object creation is happening right now?
In the memory, okay.
The memory, RAM. So if I just say build a rocket or build a ship, would you know how to build it?
No, we can't.
No.
Knowledge of how to do it?
No.
That's what we call blueprint. Okay. Now when I say I want you to create a student object, don't you need some kind of a reference point on how to create a student object?
Yes, like details.
That would be in the student class.
Okay.
So student class has the blueprint on what compromise a student system. What do you see inside the student system? That information is in the class. Typically referring your variables, reference variable and primitive variables. Okay, remember the whole software programs, the whole software world is all about data, isn't it? Information. So where do you find information?
In a blueprint class?
In the variables. Okay, so when I say refer to blueprint, what are you checking for in the student class?
Variables, attributes.
Variables in the student class. Okay, memory is supposed to store information. Information can be found in the variables. Can you connect that? Okay. In this context, if you want to create student object in the memory, we need to know what student variables are in the class. Information is equal to variables. Information goes inside the memory. So again, object creation. Where are we creating object?
In RAM.
The RAM. How do you create the object?
Through a blueprint class.
Through the blueprint, or in this case, the class. What do you create there? Yeah, you're reading through the student class, yes. But what are you looking for in that class?
Attributes, variables.
The attributes or variables. That's it. Now that you know what attributes and variables you need to create, what are their values? If I say create a record for student John. Student John has a bunch of information, age, grade, address, and so on. Just writing the placeholder like name, address is not enough. Don't you need to know what are the values with that? So you will find the values as well. In the blueprint, you'll find what information is stored and what is their value. What information is stored, what is their value. You'll have both the things. You need to look at both the things when you create the object. Is that clear?
Yes.
Any other questions? Guys, if you don't ask me questions, I'll start asking questions to you. I assume that you guys know this. Which part?
This conference will now be recorded.
Unless you join this key and locker together, does it make any sense if you don't know which key goes to which locker?
No.
Right.
You didn't. Okay. So when I say object creation, all you did was you created a locker. But did you associate the key and locker together? Did you pair them?
Not yet.
Not yet. That's the fifth step, number 5, or this line. This line is basically pairing the locker that you just created, the object that you just created. We need some kind of a tether, some kind of a rope to tie it in, isn't it?
Yeah.
That pairing, okay, that pairing between the object that you just created with the key is what we said step number 5.
Okay.
Okay, imagine if I just create build a house for you, and I don't give you the keys or the address of that house. Will you be able to go and live in that house if you don't know the address?
No, we can't.
You can't. So step number 5, 6, what it does basically is it will tell you the address that you can store in this variable S. Variable S just holds the address where the new house is built. Without knowing the address, you can't do anything. So this S is basically just like a visiting card where you have the address on it. Without the location, you can't visit that place. Okay, S is just an address holder. The reference variable S just holds the address where that object was created. If you don't know where that object is, you basically can't use it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So just like this, right? In this example, imagine if there was no address records only. Okay. Now, as I told you, the RAM has how much memory?
16
Gigabyte,
GB.
right?
Yeah.
You have 4 GB, 8 GB, and all that. Gigabyte meaning how much?
Billions.
Billions of bytes. Now there is vast amount of memory here. If you don't know where you need to look for in this billions of bytes, can you ever reach to this salary information?
No.
No.
That's the thing. So do you see the significance of that last part? If you don't know the address of this object in this billions of bytes, okay, this information, in my calculation, it is barely about 8 or 10 bytes. Okay, int requires how many bytes? 4. Okay, byte data type requires how much? Of course, 1 byte. For short data type, how much memory is needed?
2.
For int,
4 bytes.
for long,
8 bytes.
okay. Now what we are talking about is I'm interested in this information, salary, which is about 4 bytes. Okay, so what you're searching for is typically your RAM or your heap space is like in gigabyte, 8 gigabyte, 4 gigabyte, and so on, right? So right now what I have here is I have 8 billion bytes here, 8 billion, and I'm interested in this 4 bytes where the salary is kept. So if you don't know the location of this, is it easy to search for this 4 byte out of 8 billion bytes?
No.
Yes, sir.
So now this is the address where this teacher info exists. If I have a variable x which is pointing to this address, this is a variable which is basically just remembering where was your object created in this vast amount of data. It is just remembering the address. If you don't have this, you can never reach to this salary. And this is what happens in that stage. Okay, the last part. When you create an object in the memory, if you don't know this object, where this object is created, will you be able to use it?
No.
No, we can't.
So in this step, what we do is the variable s, as the name goes, what is this variable s? What type of variable we say it? Is it primitive variable?
No.
Yes.
What's the other name?
Numbers.
Object.
Object.
Object. So what variable do we call it popularly?
Reference variable.
Reference.
Reference variable. What do the term reference means? What do you refer to?
It points value to other object.
You refer to the address. It refers to this address where your object was created most recently.
This conference will now be recorded.
New creates object and returns reference address. Okay, if there is no new, no object is created and no reference address is assigned to it. Okay, if there is no new statement for reference variables, no object is created and no reference address exists. If you do this, an object is created and the address, reference address, is assigned to it. New should not be applied to primitive data type. You cannot say new int like this. You can't say this. New only applies to reference variable. Okay, so some simple tricks. You cannot say like this. You can't do this. This is fine. You can't do this. New means it is everything to do with reference, and it can only be applied to reference variable, not primitive variables. Again, for primitive variables, you have direct values, 100. Okay, you have direct values. For reference variable, can you say 100?
No.
You can't. So remember, there are two types of variables: primitive, which are highlighted, long, int, and all. For primitive variables, direct values. In other words, we call them literal values. Literally, it's a value. 100, 10.2, false, true. For primitive variables, literal value is what you can assign. For reference variable, you can assign only references. So is this a reference or is it a pure value?
It's a primitive.
Pure value.
So you can't assign it like this. So it's the other way around, right? For primitive, you can have literal values. For reference, you cannot. For reference, you can have new. For primitive, you cannot. As simple as that. So this is literal value and this is reference value. Literal, reference. Primitive variable, reference variable. Reference variable has references. Primitive variable has literal values. Is that simple to remember?
Yes, understood now.
Now, for the memory allocation, when we go to method, we have to dig deeper. Whatever I explained you, okay, this will be required when you come to methods. Okay, you have to understand how this works and why this works. Okay, you have to understand this if you want to, follow what a method is, how methods work. So, do you want me to go through examples or are you guys good with this memory snapshot?
One or two example will not be harmful, I guess.
Okay. Remember, new means create object and return object location. That's what new means. So what does new means?
Creating object.
Creates object and reference.
New
Reference. In this line, what object are we going to create?
person.
Person.
Do you know how to create person object?
Which person?
Look at the class for any more information.
Age, age,
Age,
The
name,
person
age.
object at
name,
some location. So what is the content of person?
Name, string, name, integer is, yeah.
Age.
Name has what value?
No.
Age.
It's a
0.
0 primitive value. Yeah.
So new means create object, done. Return object location. Location is 111. You return this to whom?
New person.
It's returned to
New
the
person
P1.
did this good thing. Who are you returning this new address object location to?
P1.
To P1. Right hand side is new person. Right hand side is new person. New person meaning create a new person object and return the address. When you return the address, it goes on the left hand side. Assignment. You assign whatever came from right hand side to the left hand side. P2 equals new person. Every time you hear the term new, what does it mean?
It creates new object.
It's another new object.
P1.
After creating object, what happens?
It gives reference.
To whom?
P2 now, this time.
So what will it print?
John.
Null.
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 John.
John is the right hand side and we assign it to what? P1 dot name.
P1, yes.
Where is P1 pointing to?
111.
Go to that address and for this name say John.
Okay.
Print P2 dot name. P2 is pointing to what?
222.
What's the value for name?
Null.
So what will it print?
Null.
Null. Now here is the thing. The reference variable P1 has what value?
That's
Yes.
Reference of the object.
The reference 111. If I ask you what is the value of P1, don't say John. P1's value is not John. P1's value is the address of person object. Okay, never say P1 is John. P1 has the value of address where this object is created. This is the reference. reference to the location where the object is created. Okay. Two objects created, null 0, null 0. P1 is changed to John.
Yeah.
P1, go to that address. For name, give John. P2 equals P1. So what do we have on the right hand side?
P1 John.
P1. Don't say John.
Oh, sorry,
Is
P1.
P1 John?
No.
One address, reference of
111.
It's the object.
P1 is 111.
Yeah.
So in assignment operator, what do? Right hand side, we assign to left hand side. So if P1's value is 111, guys, go on mute if you're not speaking. P1 is 111. That 111 is assigned to P2.
P2.
So what will be the new value for P2?
111.
So is this time when I say print P2.name, what will it print?
John.
now John.
John. P2 is pointing to 111. Go there, get me the name. It's John.
Yes.
That's how references work. It's all about the address.
So it's all about address to which it's pointing.
Where the object exists in the memory. Yes. Let's see a classic example for referencing for a joint bank account.
Okay.
Bank account. It has money, just one. What happens here?
It's a reference.
It creates a new object bank account.
What do we have in this?
Money.
Money.
What's the value?
0.
It's 0.
After creating object, what is next?
It creates reference to bank
Address.
account partner 1.
This address is given to which variable?
Partner 1.
Partner 1.
What happens on line number 9?
Now partner 2 creates reference new object.
Do you see a new anywhere
Oh,
here?
sorry.
Assign,
No, it's 111.
assign the value equals to partner one.
Sorry.
The first partner does this thing. Partner one dot money. Now pay attention on this line. Anytime you see equal sign, which side is processed first?
RHS.
Right
Right
hand
hand
side.
side. On the right hand side, what do you have? Partner one dot money. Partner one, go to this address, get me the money. What's the value?
0 plus 0 for now.
So first thing what you do is on the right hand side, this will be processed as 0 plus 100.
100.
Partner one dot money gave me 0 value in the memory. So 0 plus 100, what do you get?
100.
100, sir.
So this portion is what it's telling me the overall value is 100.
100.
Once you're done with the right hand side, what happens next?
It's assigned to left hand
Partner
side.
one value equals to 100.
Very good,
Assign
left.
that to the left hand side. So right hand side, the overall expression gave me 100. That 100 is assigned back to the left hand side. In this case, the left hand side is partner
100.
one dot money.
Yeah.
Partner one, go to this address and for money, set 100. What do we have on the right hand side?
Partner 2 dot money minus 50. So it's 50.
So partner 2 dot money minus 50. What is partner 2 dot money?
100.
Same as the partner one.
Yeah.
So what do you get 100 minus 50?
50.
50.
And what happens after that?
It's assigned to left hand side.
Assigned to left hand side. And what do we have there?
Now partner 2 money is 50.
Partner 2.
Which is the same address.
Then what do we process first?
Right hand side.
Right hand side.
Okay, just walk me through.
Now here partner 2 dot money is 50 plus 300. It will be 350 in right hand side, and that will be assigned to left hand side to partner 2. So the new value will be 350.
So what will it print when you say partner 1 dot money?
Now it will print 300.
$350 or 300?
350. Sorry, 350. My bad.
What happens first?
New object is created with money 0. And give reference to partner 1.
Next.
And partner 2 again will create new object, bank account. another object it will create, and money will be 0. It will give a new reference to partner 2.
Then
Now in this case, partner 1 that money plus 100 is there. So partner 1 will to the right hand side will be processed. So it will be 100 for partner 1. Now partner 2 dot money minus 50 is there, so it will be assigned to second reference partner 2. That will be minus 50. And in third line, partner 2 dot money plus 300. Again, right hand side will be processed. 300 minus 50, so it will be 250, the new value for second reference.
and what will it print?
Print partner 1 dot money. So it will print the reference from partner 1, so it will print 100.
Yeah. $100.
Yep.
What will it print?
It will print 100.
Dinesh?
Sir,
First line. What happens in first line? Mohan? Okay.
So like create an object in the memory.
Okay. Created.
Okay, and then gives a reference. It's a 111. And then
What happens on line number 11?
Right hand side gonna process, and partner money plus 100, it's gonna be on partner one reference. It's gonna store the money 100.
So where will I write, here or
Or
here?
bank upside. Reference 111.
100.
And
what
then
happens on line number 2?
line number 12, partner one reference, partner two reference have no money, 0. Partner two reference gonna have minus 50 first of all, and then those address gonna be gonna replace the partner one address to 222.
Okay, so what value and where do I write?
You can write on partner one address, which has 111, to replace it by 222. Not that here, partner one over there, upside partner one.
Okay.
It's gonna
So
replace the value.
Wait. What you're saying is this thing. It's not the same thing. Partner 2 is 222.
222.
You want to assign that to partner 1, 222. So is this line and this line same?
No.
So what happens here?
It's gonna go to the partner two money, and
Can I give it a try?
Sure.
On the second one, the money will be minus 50 for partner 2. And that's on the left hand side, it says partner 1 that money is equal to partner 2 minus 50. So the money on the top, it'll be 50.
50 plus minus?
Plus.
Okay, let's look at this. On the right hand side, I say partner 2 dot money minus 50.
50.
What is partner 2 dot money at this point?
0.
That's
0. So what is 0 minus 50?
minus 50.
So on the right hand side, what did you get finally after you did 0 minus 50?
Minus 50.
Minus 50.
So the value minus 50 goes to the left hand side. And what do you have on the left hand side?
We already have 100.
That's the thing. It is just an assignment. It will not consider what you have current value in it. Left hand side will take whatever value you give on the right hand side. That's the rule.
Okay, so both of them will be
take whatever you get from right hand side. So what did you get from right hand side?
Minus 50.
What did you give to partner 1 dot money now?
Minus 50.
That's all it is. Assignment is you assign whatever you get from the right hand side. You do not consider what you have currently in partner 1 dot money. You don't care. Whatever happens on the right hand side, as is, the same value will go to the left hand side. That's the rule. Okay.
Okay.
So what happens here?
So partner 1 dot money is 300. So minus 50, it'll be 250. So the partner 2 dot money will be also 250.
partner 1 dot money is minus 50 currently. Minus 50 plus 300 gives you 250. So right hand side you got 250. You don't care what is the current value in partner 2 dot money. You don't care about that. Whatever value you get from right hand side, it goes as is to the left hand side, partner 2 dot money. So when you print partner 1 dot money, what do you get?
250. 250.
Let's test our theory. Partner 1 dot money. What is partner 1 dot money?
Minus 50 there.
Output will match. You just have to know why it is working, how it is working.
Because it only says to print partner 1 dot money. The value of partner 1 dot money.
Correct. Printing partner 1 dot money, which as per our analyzing, we got minus 50. So there you have it. This code might look complex, but if you just step back and do line by line whatever we are doing, it's not that hard to predict what it is. Always remember the steps, okay? What happens here? Line number 10. Okay, let me reset this. 0, 0. Okay, we are done with the 8 and 9. Both got brand new bank accounts pointing to different locations. Good. Line number 10.
The money will be 100.
In first or second?
Partner 1.
First.
Partner 1, we process right side first, so it's 100.
Next.
So partner 2 money right now on
Process
line
right hand side. Partner 2 money minus 50.
So what value and which one? First money or second?
Partner 1 money gonna be minus 50. Sorry, only 50, not minus 50.
No.
It will be.
It will be minus 50.
Minus 50. Yeah.
Because it's minus 50 there.
Yeah.
0 minus 50.
12.
Okay.
What is the value of partner 1? Value of partner 1, remember.
Minus 50.
Minus 50.
50. Again, let me rephrase. Minus 50 is partner's value or money's value?
Money value. 1 1.
Money value.
And what is the value of partner 1?
It's partner 2.
1.
222
It's bank account.
value.
Here, right hand side, partner 1. Look at the graph and tell me what is the value of partner 1?
1 1.
1 1 1.
So if the right hand side is 111, hashtag 111, it goes to the left hand side. What do you have on left hand side?
We
Partner 2, that is also 111 now.
Again, I stress it often. Read it carefully. Do not just jump to conclusions. Minus 50, this, that. Are you referring to the main variable or an attribute inside this variable? You have to keep an eye on that. Line number 13.
Now there comes the money part. So they both will refer to 111. So minus 300 minus 50. So the value will be 250 this time.
And on the left hand side?
It will be 250. The value will be same for both. They refer to same table this time, the same object.
So if I print both, it will print 250 twice.
No.
Only once.
Because number 12 is equal, sir.
I'm printing twice. Partner 1.money, what will it print?
250.
250.
Line 15, partner 2.money, what will it print?
250.
250.
Okay, real quick. Line number 9.
Partner 1 money is
100.
It will be 100.
100 plus 100 makes it 100.
So 100 goes up or down?
It's positive.
Up.
Positive.
For the first one or second one? Where do
First
I put
one.
100?
That's what.
111.
Second one.
Okay.
These are brand new two objects.
Then it goes to second one this time.
On 222.
Yeah, 222.
Line number 10.
Partner 1 is equal to partner 2. So the number
The
2
both
to 2 will be changed
Both
into
will be.
111.
11.
Partner 2 money.
Yeah.
Money will be 400 on 111 bank account, the partner 1 money.
The top one
What's the
will
number?
be 400.
400.
400.
Look again.
I think it will be 0 again because this value was not declared previously, so it's declared
This
after.
state gives you both address to 111. On line number 11, partner 2.money. What is partner 2.money?
0.
0.
0.
So what is 0 plus 300?
300.
300.
300.
So 300 goes to the first one or second one?
First one.
First one.
First one.
Next.
Partner 2 dot money. Yeah.
Now the new value will be
250. For the
250.
250 goes to first or second?
First.
First one.
First one.
Okay, last example. Tell me what will you get?
A new object will be
This conference will now be recorded.
Line number 6.
yeah, we have new object for that. It's money. Variables 0. And we'll give reference for partner 1 this time. It's 111. Now partner 2 has new, it has to create new object and give location. So
Rajan. Line number 7. Rajan.
Yes, sir. So we need to create for second one now. So bank account, called money, value is equal to 0, and it goes to 222. Partner 2 is 222, and partner 2 is equal to 222.
Very good. Dinesh. Line number 9.
Partner 111 equal money is $100. Equal to 200. So partner 2 is $100.
So what value do I write in which box?
And 222 money $100.
Very good. Luna.
Yes, sir.
Line number 10.
So in partner 1, we have the reference 111, and we assign the same reference to partner 2, that is 111.
Perfect. Shrestha.
Yes, sir.
11.
The partner 2 dot money plus 200. So the partner 2 equals to 111. It means 0 plus 200 is 300. And the reference value 111 is 300.
So what value and where do I write it? First or second?
The reference value 111. The money, there should be 300.
300 or 200?
300.
Very good. Chubani.
Yes, sir.
Number 12.
Can I
Smita.
try? I'm not sure. Oh, sorry.
The number 12, should we get partner 1? This,
Hey, Luna.
Yes. So on the top part, we have already told like bank account partner 1 is equal to new bank account. So instead of number 111, do we write like new bank account or what is that? I mean, I'm not sure. I just try.
So here is what you do. Every time you see new, what you have been doing so far?
Creating a new class.
Create a new object, don't you?
Sorry. Okay.
Where every time you see new, whatever class, first thing is we create the object. Object of what?
New bank account. Bank
Bank
account.
account. What's the content of bank account?
Partner 1 again.
Money.
Money. Oh yeah, money. References part.
After creating the bank account, what is the next thing we do?
Give the reference or
this reference goes to where?
Partner 1.
Partner 1.
That's what happens. Line number 12. Chabani, I expected more from you.
Yeah,
Why are you struggling with this concept?
like it gets confused. Now it makes sense.
Amar, line number 13.
Yes, sir. A partner 2 money is minus 50. So 100 minus 50 will be in partner 1. That'll be $50 in partner 1.
Sabuj,
Yes, sir.
number 13.
The partner 2 is assigned to the address 111.
Very good.
Since the address 111 has the value 300, so it will be my 250.
Very good. And 250 value goes to 333, 222, or 111.
It would go to 333.
Perfect. Partner 1 is 333. So left hand side, it goes here. So what will it print? Partner 1 dot money.
250.
And partner 2 dot money.
300.
300.
Sit. So our guess is first it will print 250 and then 300.